The swag. Way to bring the hat out. I like that idea.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Podcast on D-Shot. Usually I'm wanting to do this stuff with like whitewater coaches, but since it's pretty significant, we got the Carthage men's volleyball program who last week won their first team national championship in a 5-set win over Benedictine. So today we got on JW Kieckhefer, the head coach, Blake Arnold, Tremper Grad, and Matt Slivinski to kind of talk about that national championship. Thanks, guys, for joining me.
Yeah, happy to be here, man. Happy to talk about some men's volleyball.
All right, so let's just kind of start with I guess the elephant in the room. I want to know this. How does Carthage celebrate a national championship? Like, how did you guys kind of celebrate this? And
you want to talk about that for the coach?
Because this is like one of the first things that popped in my mind. How the heck does Carthage celebrate a national championship? Is that like obviously me being a whitewater grad? How we celebrate it is they put the teams on fire trucks, drive them through through whitewater. How does Carthage kind of celebrate it? Did you guys, obviously we're in a COVID thing, so it's like that'd probably be tough to do, but like how did you guys kind of celebrate it as a college?
I think that took a lot of the pomp and circumstance away from it, if you will. I think there would have been a lot more people watching when we got off the bus. We had a couple of people there, had an awesome camera on it to make sure everybody was able to celebrate that moment when the trophy got back to campus. We're about to have a dinner with President Swallow later today, which is significant for our guys to get to know him and to show his support for our program in the national championship. And then I've been walking the trophy around campus a little bit. So everybody who's been a big piece of it could take a picture. And I just think that it's just not possible to do a lot of those big celebration things, which has been just the reality of this year, I think, which has been pretty sad for this group. But you don't really need those things. I think our group was just really excited to do it for each other. And that's what's made this year special.
I'd say if you guys win another one, do you think you guys will eventually do something like Whitewater does with those type of things, or?
I would hope so. I think the more I think that was the part of the thing that we talked about a lot is the first one's always the hardest, right? And there's always a lot of pressure on the first team to do it. And these two guys were able to lead us to that space, and we're really excited for them. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get back to normal, but we're just excited to win one and to celebrate that with ourselves and with the team, and to make sure we have the opportunity to celebrate ourselves.
How much does it add to winning a national championship? In terms of, you got any of you three can answer this, because Carthage just changed from the Red Men to the Firebirds, and lo and behold, you guys win a national championship right after you guys changed the nickname.
Blake, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Sometimes I honestly say Red Men on accident. I think we're still the same group of guys no matter what mascot, but maybe it's a coincidence for the better. Who knows? What do you think, Sliv?
At first, I wasn't really for the change. I kind of like the old tradition, and I've been like the Red Men for the last 3 years, but I actually came to like the change, and calling us the Firebirds now, it's pretty nice. I don't really think it made a difference in our gym. Our guys wanted to be there, and they wanted to fight for this championship. So, yeah.
I think it was cool. I think in terms of a rebrand, right, we're going through that place of making sure we don't say Redmen anymore, making sure we're on the Firebird train. And I think this kind of cements it a little bit in terms of a new identity. We're able to kind of win one with under that new identity and try to brand it at a little bit higher level with that,
Let's kind of just talk about that national championship match a little bit, because going in, the impressive stat about this team was that you guys had only lost one set going into the national championship match, and you guys found yourselves down, losing the first set 25-23. Then you guys kind of rebounded, won the second set, and you guys lost the third set. What did it say about the team to kind of rebound, get those two sets to force that extra set? And what did you say to the team between when you guys were down 2-1?
My biggest thing this year in the last 2 years has been trying to, promote some leadership from within. And I know that, you know, these guys and Parker Connolly are their captain, were a big piece of that. So, yeah, Blake, what did you say? What did you guys say?
I mean, one thing I can remember was this dude had his head down a little bit just because he was missing his serves, and I just like went up to him and I was like, "Yo, what are you thinking about? What's going through your mind?" And he's just saying, he's trying to get over it, and I'm like, "All right, just take some deep breaths." And then I think one timeout huddle, I don't remember which set it was. I just told the whole team to just focus up, take a deep breath, close your eyes, and just to kind of like make everyone a little bit less tense because we were dropping some sets. Obviously, we weren't used to that.
I got a quick question for you, Blake, because I thought the other cool thing about this national championship was that you guys were playing Benedictine, and that kind of to make allusions to Kenosha. Nathan Klimish was on the other side of the court. How was it to kind of go up against another Kenosha kid? And like, did you guys have any conversations like after the match or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, me and him aren't too close. During the game, we didn't really talk to each other, but I remember Saturday night, it was the first night of celebration. Both teams were actually in the hotel lobby, we're all having a good times with our family. And I did talk to him, and it was kind of cool to get his perspective. I mean, we're all humble about it. There was no hard feelings between each other. I mean, it was a good match, and I kind of had a feeling that they knew that we were going to win, but I mean, that's what he told me, but it was a 5-setter, so anything can happen. I don't know.
I think what's cool with that is that Nate's mom actually works for the college. She's one of our nursing professors as well. So there actually is a pretty big, connection to this university or this college from the Klimishes, and I think that was pretty cool. For Chris, she had the opportunity to win a national championship with any team winning, and Nate's just a great kid, and we're happy to see him be successful down there and getting a lot of opportunity to play his freshman year.
I guess the other question for you, Blake, is how cool is it to win a national championship, representing, obviously being from Tremper and going to Carthage. Obviously, Carthage is in Kenosha, so you get to kind of play college volleyball in your hometown.
It's pretty cool. I mean, my high school coach was really the one that got me to stick with volleyball, and to keep in touch with him, watching us win the whole thing this year has been a pretty cool experience. And then as well with the coverage and the Kenosha News has been pretty cool. I got people that, aren't big into volleyball that have been keeping track of the season, which is pretty cool, like neighbors, different family members that have never really paid attention, perhaps yourself, but now volleyball is kind of on the map now, which is pretty cool.
I've been more aware of you guys' success a little bit, so I've paid attention a little bit. I guess before we kind of get to kind of another part of this national championship in a way, obviously there's been some really successful men's volleyball teams at Carthage the last several years. To Slivinski and Blake, what does it mean that you guys kind of were the ones that kind of finally broke through?
I think that it obviously means a lot, and I think it comes straight down to like our mentality and how strong everyone on the team was this year mentally. We really didn't have anyone who was trying to bring the team down. Everyone was there to win, and everyone also knew their place and knew that if they weren't on the court playing, then they have to do whatever they can to try and beat out the person above them or make the person next to them better. That was really our mentality going into this year, and it really paid off.
Okay, so this question's for JW. This is going to be kind of I'll throw a Whitewater comparison here, because your guys' program is kind of like Whitewater football, going from Bob Brezowitz, who led Whitewater to 2 national championship appearances, going to Lance Leipold, who won 196 at Whitewater and won many national titles as he had losses. Just kind of talk about how, because obviously you talked with Mike Johnson of the Kenosha News after the match about that this national championship is shared with the prior head coach in terms of LJ Marks. Just kind of talk about, what did you have a conversation with him after the match, and obviously he kind of built, like, as we would say in Whitewater football with Bob Brezowitz, he planted the seed for Whitewater's success. LJ Marks planted the seed for Carthage men's volleyball success.
Yeah, I think LJ, is a good friend of mine, has been since I started coaching in 2015. So always been a mentor of mine, even when I wasn't here. So being able to call him up whenever I needed him and ask him what he thought, ask him what we need to do with this group of young men to make sure we're going to be successful, was really important to this run. I also think that I only recruited, one of the guys who had significant time for us here. So in most ways, this is more of a championship for him than it is for me. I think that is necessarily the hardest part in putting together a roster. And I guess I can take credit for making sure these guys played volleyball in the right way and set the right culture. But, LJ had a championship culture here as well. And what was impressive about this group is that they were always in the championship picture. And, my goal was to just not screw it up for most of the 2 years I've been here. When you get a championship culture, you want to make sure you don't do anything too different. I think the reason why we've been successful is that, I'm smart enough to know that I have to coach my own way and run my own system and be my own person. But we don't have to, reinvent the wheel. We can keep a lot of the things that made us successful in the past. So just a combination of those two things.
I guess kind of going off of that, and I know Pat Miller, Whitewater, might say this about some teams that didn't win national championships. What sets this team away from kind of the teams in the past that maybe, obviously there was some championship aspirations with some of the other teams the last couple of years? What sets this team apart?
Yeah, go ahead, Blake. I haven't been here for those
Yeah,
teams, so I can't answer that question.
Last year we didn't even have a chance. But, I would say it's kind of what Slivs was talking about earlier. I think we all knew our roles on the court, and with that, we all knew each other really well, and we knew what we did well and what we didn't do well. So when times got tough, we kind of knew how we should adjust during the match based on if this player is struggling or not. So we just had a really good chemistry within the group this year.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of ask this since I already kind of briefly threw it by UJW, but how was Salem, Virginia, aka Whitewater East, for a volleyball venue, or how did they do?
I think we use the same facility, so it's an amazing arena. I think when you're talking about a volleyball arena, you want the ceiling to be pretty high, and I think the one thing we would have liked to have had is the fans closer. Everybody's kind of pushed a little bit farther away, and obviously for COVID reasons, that's part of why, is to make sure the fans and the players don't interact. You can kind of keep that space between the guys who are testing every day. So I think it's a great venue. It's a beautiful venue. It just would have been nice to have the fans a little bit closer to us and to make it feel like a championship venue in terms of the energy in the gym. I think that's one of the things we do well here at Tarbell, is that it's a big space, but the fans are on top of you right away. So it allows it to be loud with 400, 500 people that we normally have. We have a pretty big following out here. So we miss that. We miss the fans being on top of us and feeling that energy. But we had a lot of practice this season of creating our own energy with nobody in the stands. And that's one of the things I was proud of with these guys, of being able to play and create our own energy.
Might as well add this. How is it to win a national championship in a COVID year? And what are the kind of things that, like, protocols and all that stuff that you guys had to go through?
Yeah, so honestly, being tested every day honestly kind of made the experience feel more professional. I've heard about all the NBA players being in a bubble and getting tested every day, and we kind of got to experience that for ourselves. So that was kind of cool. But really, it didn't take away anything. We all had same mentality, and COVID or not, we're going to play our hardest. Was a little scary, though, with the thought of having our season, that our season could end in 1 second if somebody tests positive.
The last day we were there before the championship match, they had kind of sent a couple of nurses home because there's only 2 teams left to test. And so it took about like 10, 15 minutes longer than normal to get our test back. And I think that's the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life, of like waiting for these tests to come back and it taking like 10 minutes longer than it should have. And like, thinking, does that mean somebody's positive? Does it not? Yeah, that was probably one of the most nervous moments I've had in my entire life, with like not knowing if that was because they were positive or they were short staffed or what it was. But yeah, just trying to not let that take away from the experience.
Okay. I want to ask about recruiting a little bit, because is it a challenge, or how much is it a benefit? Obviously, there's not really a Division I men's volleyball program in the state. The WIAC schools, in terms of the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, like schools like Whitewater, Oshkosh, or any of those, they have club teams. They don't have, you wish they have the women's program, but in terms of the volleyball side of things, how is recruiting different with men's volleyball kind of in the state? So you maybe recruit against teams in your conference, or how does it kind of?
I think it helps the fact that, we're the best program in Wisconsin without a Division I team, or without some of those state schools having it. I think it helps recruiting for boys volleyball. Boys volleyball is kind of localized to a couple of different like hotbeds in different cities. In Wisconsin, it's kind of around Green Bay, Milwaukee, Madison, and then Chicago is a massive one.
I don't mean to jump over you here. So it's kind of like Whitewater's recruiting thing, where it's like they recruit Green Bay, they recruit Milwaukee area, maybe the Chicago thing. Is that kind of a little bit of a similarity?
Really everywhere. We have a Costa Rican kid in our team. We've had an Indiana kid, a California kid. So we're just trying to bring in some talent. But in terms of what our bases look like pretty specifically, it's a lot of the Milwaukee area and a lot of the Chicagoland area, primarily the Chicagoland area. We have like 60 to 70% of our team from that area.
Okay. How do you guys go about in terms of going for a repeat?
You're the one who gets to do that.
Yeah, I think ever since we got back, that mentality of wanting has already been there. I've already seen guys getting in the gym and lifting. I honestly think that even though we're graduating some of our key pieces this year, we're going to come back next year even stronger, and everyone's going to have another year of experience, another year of training. So I'm really excited for that to happen again.
All right. Thanks guys for talking to me. Thanks everybody for listening to another episode of Podcast on D-Shot, and go Firebirds.
Go Firebirds.
All right.